My name is Waheed Olagunju. I'm the Acting Managing Director, Bank of Industry. Bank of Industry is a development finance institution, and all over the world, DFIs are policy-based financial institutions that are set up to intervene in areas of the economy where market-driven financial institutions with other areas operate. With specific to BoI, our mandate is to make suitable funding available to entrepreneurs in Nigeria's manufacturing sector.
Before you can assist an entrepreneur, you want to be sure that he has the capacity to implement the project. And that's why capacity is one of the 5 C's of credit, the others being character, capital, condition, and collateral. Conventionally, there has always been this question: who should come first? Is it capacity or capital? If you make money available to an entrepreneur who lacks capacity, he will lose his own money, which is the capital of credit, and will also not be able to repay the loan. That means the project might become unviable and unsustainable. So we believe in building the capacity of our entrepreneurs, particularly micro, small, and medium enterprises, because a lot of them lack capacity. They might have an idea of what they want to do, but how to transform that idea into a good business model, then come up with a potentially bankable business plan. So that's what the capacity building talks about, addresses how to become a very successful entrepreneur, which includes how to develop a marketing strategy, for instance, how to keep your books, because bookkeeping is an area where most MSMEs are highly defective. And if you cannot keep your books, how can you manage your business? Because if you cannot measure, you cannot manage. And it's only you can manage that you can determine whether you are successful or failing. So it's important to equip them, let them have the capacity to be able to manage their business and run their businesses before we make money available to them. We looked at the country as a whole. Different parts of the country have areas in which they have comparative advantages. So what we decided to do was come up with the 40 clusters, looking at areas in which particular sections of the country have comparative advantage. For example, in a place like Ogun State, they produce adire, traditionally. So we said, as part of the apparel clusters, adire making, tie and dye is an area we can support in Ogun State because they have age-long people who've been doing so for quite some time. You look at fish farming, fish processing, fish smoking, fish drying. These are aquaculture, areas where you have rivers. So we look at areas where we have a natural ecosystem for fishing. So we do that as well. Then you look at beef processing or meat processing, livestock, areas like BoI in the north. There's a lot of livestock. There are a lot of people who breed cattle, and processing cattle into beef is one of the clusters that we support in the country. That was at the inception. Now, male and female entrepreneurs along the value chains of the cotton, textile, and apparel industry are free to access the fashion funds of the Bank of Industry. And they have indeed been accessing them. And we've been supporting male and female entrepreneurs who operate along the value chain of the cotton, textile, and apparel industry. Because that's an area where Nigerians are highly talented and gifted. Fashion. Most of our fashion designers come up with products that are appealing not only to Nigerians, but also to foreigners. There are huge export potentials for our fashion business men and women. So that's why we are supporting them. And of course, we all know that clothing is one of the basic needs of man. And we're a country with a high population. We're looking at about 180 million people, and clothing from cradle to grave, you cannot do without clothing. That's because we operate along global best practices. All our policies, processes, and procedures are anchored on global best practice. In other words, before we take any decision, we look at what is the best way of going about anything. How will the bank's best interest be served, or Nigeria's national interest best served? We don't go into anything without ensuring that the venture will be viable and sustainable. And then, of course, we're looking at developmental impact. So it's very, very important how you manage an institution. We are anchored on our values that we call SPIRIT. It's an acronym, which emphasizes professionalism in whatever we do. So for example, in the area of credit, our ratio of non-performing loans has been consistently below 4%. The threshold provided by the central bank is 5%. So which means that more than 96% of our risk assets are performing. And that's because we ensure that we appraise applications properly before we commit our resources into supporting such ventures. Well, that's because we support manufacturers in Nigeria and they are satisfied and pleased with the services of the bank. We are very, very cautious. We ensure that we deliver our services within a very short turnaround time, provided all the inputs are made available to us by applicants. And we do not just finance them, we also nurture them, we also hold their hands. We give them business support services, we give them advisory services. We've been around for more than 58 years in this country, starting from Icon Limited to NIDB. Icon Limited in 59, NIDB in 64, then the Bank of Industry in 2001. So we know why projects fail. We try to ensure that we guide our customers against failure factors. And we know why businesses succeed. We try to ensure that they build their businesses along the lines of those who have succeeded. So we support our customers a lot. They give them highly concessional financing. And whenever they have challenges too, we restructure, we stay with them during their challenging periods, and we even help them restructure their facilities when they are not able to pay us as and when due. We find out why. We don't just foreclose on them, and we try to help them solve their problems. Well, we have accredited BDSPs, Business Development Service Providers, or MSME consultants, who we have specifically mandated to help our current and potential customers come up with bankable proposals. This is to ensure that the rejection rate is reduced, because in Nigeria there is a 90% rejection rate in the financial industry. In other words, out of every 10 loan applications filed with banks in the country, 9 of them don't contain the information required by finance experts to arrive at investment decisions. So the BDSPs work closely with our customers, particularly the micro, small, and medium enterprises, to help them put together their banking proposals with the submit to the Bank of Industry. And they also work with them after approval, even during disbursements and even after disbursements. And we're able to negotiate highly concessional fees for our customers regarding services rendered by BDSPs. So those arrangements are allowed, but that does not mean that you can still not come to us directly. You can't come to Bank of Industry directly, but it's just that when you go through our accredited BDSPs, all the information required would have been provided in your application. Your application will stand a better chance of being approved if you go through accredited BDSPs. And the turnaround time, you're also guaranteed shorter turnaround time if you work with our accredited BDSPs. We cannot have an office in each of the 774 local governments in Nigeria, so we are leveraging technology to conquer space and time. That was why we launched an SME app. Each of the 150 million GSM subscribers in the country can download the SME app. Once they download the SME app, they can learn about the bank. They can also apply for their loans online and submit their applications to the bank. Our processes are automated now at the Bank of Industry, Our credits can be reviewed electronically. And then we also have an availment platform for disbursements. And then we also are able to remit funds directly to plant and machinery suppliers as well as input suppliers through the Nigerian Interbank settlement system. So we are leveraging ICT a lot in terms of enhancing our service delivery.